We like to call it the Supernatural Hour. And now, our hosts.
Anyway, welcome back to the Wish Show. I'm your host, Castle. To my left, we have Lurch.
Hello.
To my right, we've got Deanne.
Hello.
We have got Tim, a.k.a. Beaker.
What's happening?
We do not have Brandy with us tonight, but we have the host formerly known as Silent Dawn, who actually talked a lot on the last episode.
He can't be called Silent Dawn anymore.
He's talked a lot on not just the last episode, like starting this year. It's like, was that your New Year's resolution?
Yes.
To talk on the podcast?
Hey, it took 4 seasons, but he's coming out of his shell.
Because he talked a lot on the Winchester episode. He talked a lot on the last one. He's no longer, we can't call him Silent Dawn anymore.
Actually, the trick at home is getting him to be quiet. So the Silent Dawn moniker was just weird.
Before we get going, though, let's cover some business stuff. So that's that as far as that business goes. Anything else you guys can think of business-wise that we need to cover?
Chirp, chirp.
Nope.
Chirp, chirp.
All right. Let's move on with the show.
Spirit guides, having your own personal spirit guides. I know from reading the scriptures that, we are surrounded by angels on our left and on our right. But as far as having oh, hey, this is my buddy Steve. He's my guardian angel. I'm not sure.
Okay, so
You believe in Annie, correct?
I believe in Annie.
Well, she's one of Brandy's spirit guides.
Okay, that puts a different terminology on the word spirit guide, though, because Annie is a spirit that happens to be related to Peaches and is attached to her. So associating that as a spirit guide, I can see the connection there, but to me it connotes different.
Let me jump in real quick because I'm going to assume that not all our listeners have been with us since episode 1. Maybe we should take just a minute.
They have to have been. We don't have new listeners ever.
Let's just assume for a minute that we've got new listeners. Maybe we should explain who Annie is.
Brandy's our team medium, and she is extremely gifted. Probably the most gifted medium I've ever worked with, and I've met some dozens. I've met at least 20 mediums, and she's by far the most gifted medium. She has a great-great-grandmother that passed away in the 1920s that has been with her since the day she's born, and she's been looking out after her. And funny enough, ever since she joined the team, Annie's actually been kind of like all of our moms, so to speak.
She's kind of adopted all of us.
She looks after everyone on the team and makes sure that
she'll go and check up on us in our houses to make sure that there's nothing bad hanging out there, and kind of report back to Brandy, and Brandy will let us know if there's anything that we should be concerned about.
And sorry, I didn't catch
no, that's all right. I was just going to say at one point, I've mentioned this before. I had 7 spirits in my home, and it made me a little uncomfortable. None of them were benevolent or anything, but when I found out, I was
malevolent.
Malevolent, sorry.
They were benevolent. They were good to you. You hated that.
Like I said, I just woke up from a nap, okay? It's early mornings and late nights studying.
None of them were good, but they weren't causing problems.
I feel exhausted all the time, so I woke up from a little bit of a nap about 2 hours ago.
Sip on that Coke there.
Yeah, I know, I am. I need to get more caffeine. But yeah, they were none of them were malevolent. Thank you, Don. And I just didn't feel comfortable with them there. So when I found that out, Annie went back and politely asked them all to leave, and they did.
I was going to say, and the thing that I've noticed, just for our new listeners real quick, as we kind of catch them up on who Annie is, I think every single person in this room has had an experience with Annie, to the extent that there's no doubt in this group that Annie exists. She is who she is. She is who she says she is.
I think I saw her last night, actually, while I was at Brandy's house.
Like I say, I've seen her out of the corner of my eye. I've had her do things at my home.
She's a jokester, too. Like the time when we went to the Estes Park, the Stanley Hotel.
She was trying to pull the tour guide's hair.
We had a tour guide. And there's a group of 20, 30 people, and one of them pulls out a...
we should actually specify it was a ghost tour.
It was a ghost tour, yeah, and one of them pulls out a K2 meter because, they start talking about different equipment. So one of them pulls out a K2 meter, and it starts, going off the meter, spiking a little bit, and the person's getting all excited. And meanwhile, I look over at you and Brandy, and Brandy's trying not to laugh because she knows it's Annie that's playing with it.
Well, and the tour guides are going, we've never had that activity in this part of the building.
That's so
strange.
Really strange.
Well, I think my favorite Annie story is I have a neighbor who had a dog that they really, really loved, and it passed, and they were certain that the spirit of this dog was in their home, and they asked me to, can you, and so I said, yeah, and so I just grabbed my K2 meter and ran down the street, and put it at the top of the stairs where they thought it was, and the K2 just started going crazy. And I thought, oh, hey, cool. So I snapped a few pictures, sent them to Brandy. I said, hey, what's going on in this picture? And she texts back. She goes, where are you? And I said, I'm just at my neighbor's house. Why? And she goes, that's Annie. She's just playing with the K2.
Annie does that quite a bit. If we're on a public investigation and there's not a whole lot of activity, she'll start playing with the K2s.
Which is great.
She'll still
Oh, and she came on vacation with us. It was kind of awesome.
Yeah, which is great because it means that there's always activity at our ghost hunts, be it activity we've brought with us or actual activity at the venue. But not to get too far off, but that's who Annie is for our new listeners who have kind of come in and love our podcast. And we'll reference her periodically, and we'll make it a point to kind of cover who she is every
so we can fill space on
often.
the show.
Shout out to Annie!
So when it comes to spirit guides, the theory on that is that actually everybody has a spirit guide. And not just one. They have one main spirit guide, and then they have several other spirit guides, which are all... Your main spirit guide is chosen by you before you're even born. Like, you pick out your main spirit guide, and then others will kind of reveal themselves throughout your life. That
Is this the same thing like spirit animal? Spirit totem?
Slide.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's from Fight Club.
Okay.
They're talking about their spirit animals. He's got the penguin.
This penguin, yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, you basically you pick your main spirit guide before you're born, and you'll have several others that you've picked or several others that have been assigned to you throughout your life. And the spirit guides, the way that you know that they're there, it's kind of like that gut feeling you get when you're trying to make a decision. The theory behind that is it's your spirit guides are like prompting you, trying to guide you in the right direction that you need to be going in your life. I know with me, when I first started trying to get into meditating and I was trying to figure out who my spirit guides were, that's the thought that I had in my head. Like when I was going to bed at night, I'm like, I want to connect with my spirit guides. I want to find out who my spirit guides are. I woke up the next morning and the name Rose was in my head. And for about 2 years, I was asking everybody I knew that was gifted. I'm like, I got the name Rose one day. I don't know who she is, why it's significant. Can you help me out? And for the longest time, no one could tell me exactly how this Rose person and I were connected until
you watched The Force Awakens.
Yes.
And you realized it was Rose from Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, never mind.
There's a Rose in Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, The Last Jedi. I'm sorry. The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay.
She was in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So after I met Amanda last year, we had her on the show, and she did that energy cleansing on my shoulder. Her and her boyfriend Colton were kind of the starting off point for me for opening up my abilities and learning exactly what I could do. And as I've progressed, I brought the question back up to Peaches. I'm like, well, okay, so who's Rose? And she goes, Rose is your main spirit guide. She's been with you your entire life, and she told me the names of all my... Apparently I have 7 spirit guides, and she told me the names of most of them. I don't remember the names.
They're all incredibly busy, by the way.
Now, I remember when I first met Brandy, though, we were driving with like 3 or 4 of the people in the car. It was downtown Salt Lake, and someone had asked, well, if you can see spirits that are attached to us, can you tell us if there's any spirits attached to me? And it wasn't me asking the question, and she responded to the person that was asking, and then, just out of curiosity, I was like, well, is there anything attached to me? No. So how can I have a spirit guide if she's already told me that there's not anything attached to me? Is that the same thing? Is that different?
So we've actually determined that with spirits, and this might be a more recent thing for her, but she couldn't see spirits that have crossed over. The other thing is so if your spirit guide's been one that's crossed over, she couldn't see them.
Okay, I gotcha.
The other thing is when it comes to spirit guides, a lot of the times they're only meant for you, so other people aren't going to be able to see them or hear them.
Okay, so that's different than having an attachment. It's a spirit that's stuck here on this plane.
There's a difference between being assigned to you and being attached to you.
So a spirit that's already attached to the other side.
Kind of back to, sorry to cut you off, Tim. Kind of back to Tim's original thing where he's talking about having met at least 20 mediums. I'm kind of in the same boat with Tim. I've met probably close to the same amount. And one thing I've noticed as I've talked to all these different mediums is they all have very different gifts that work different ways. They can accomplish similar things, But I know for a fact that Caden, for instance, could also see spirits that Brandy could not. Yeah, and Brandy, I think, has developed her gift to see those spirits. But basically, some spirits are not all spirits are visible to all mediums all the time, is kind of what I'm saying. Which is kind of why sometimes you're like, well, how come this medium said the spirit was there and this other medium came in 10 minutes later and said there's nothing there? I mean, even in our own team, Brandy sees stuff that B does not. You know, and in the past, Caden's seen stuff that neither of them have seen. And so I think it kind of falls in that kind of realm of, I think different spirits kind of occupy different, not to sound crazy, but dimensions, if you will, and certain mediums can see in certain frequencies, and if that spirit is outside that frequency, and I'm using my air quotations when I'm saying frequency, if the medium sees outside that frequency, they can't see that particular spirit, if that makes sense. And so I suspect these spirit guides operate in their own frequency or realm or whatever terminology you want to use, and that might not be as readily available to all mediums as it is to some.
Right.
Well, I think at the same time, like, they'll, what's the right word here? They'll show themselves.
Manifest.
They'll manifest them. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
it was poop. That was the word you're looking for, Tim. Poop.
They'll poop themselves. They'll manifest themselves when it's necessary, when it's appropriate. Like,
Well, it's interesting with mine because the first time Lurch, I was where you were. I'm like spirit guides, and I can give you my theory on that in the LDS thought process here in a minute. But I went to Garrett Castle had me go to a psychic class a couple of years ago, and the medium that was doing that, she taught us how to find our spirit guides, which was basically a guided meditation, but you do it on your own. And so I tried it a couple times at night because you're supposed to do it when it's quiet. And I kept falling asleep. Well, I finally was able to do it without falling asleep. So I went and did this, a self-guided meditation, and went through the whole process. And when I got to the part where my spirit guides were revealed, there was a man and two women. And the two women were kind of in the background, veiled, as I give Lurch a look. And
quit giving Lurch seductive looks. Your husband's right there holding your hand.
Well, in our religion, when you cross through the veil is the terminology for when you pass over from this plane to the next existence. Two of them were veiled.
Yeah, so two of them were veiled, and I thought, why is that? And so, she said, when you see your spirit guides, talk to him, ask him questions. And so I looked at the man, and I asked him what his name was, and he would not tell me what his name was. And so I said, well, I have to be able to call you a name, because I don't want to just say, hey, you, that's rude. So I said, can I call you Charles? And he kind of rolled his eyes, and he said, yeah, that's fine. So I call him Charles, and I said, why are the two women veiled? What's that? And he said, they're just, it's not their job to speak to you. It's my job to speak to you. And so I went, for a long time thinking I had the three. And then I have talked and asked probably 4 or 5 different mediums, hey, tell me about my spirit guides. And they have all told me I have 4. They said you have 2 men and 2 women. And they said the one man is very much, omnipresent. He's the one that's the spokesperson. The 2 women just kind of run around. They're just gathering information and blah, 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 just kind of support workers, as it were. And then they have all said that there's a 4th, and the 4th is the second man. And they said he is just kind of in and out. He just kind of hangs on the outskirts. And it was interesting because I saw the 3, and then these mediums, and I didn't tell them anything. I just said, hey, tell me about my spirit guides. And they all said the same thing. And so I was really skeptical at first, but the more I get into it, the more I believe it's a real thing.
And I can see that from a religious standpoint when I look at it. So one thing that is taught in the LDS faith is that we existed before as spirits. We came here to get bodies, and we'll go back as spirits, and eventually we'll get bodies again. But the general consensus in the LDS church is that we are here to learn lessons and to progress and to make mistakes and fall down. And so to me it is feasible that some other spirits who have either been here already, or maybe even some who have not been here yet, are kind of behind the scenes, pulling strings, if you will, to kind of get us to make some better decisions along the way, to kind of smooth the path, if you will.
And where I was going to go on the religious path was, we believe in the Godhead. We believe that there are 3 separate personages, God the Father, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. And the Holy Ghost, it's his job to...
Holy Ghost was part of the Godhead that was not given a physical body And so I think he provides us with like promptings.
Correct.
When we are faced with the decision to either choose the right or choose the wrong.
Right.
He's that little tiny still voice that tells us, this would probably be the best thing for you to do.
So the way that I wrapped my head around spirit guides and being able to mesh it with my religion is there is a Holy Ghost. Absolutely, I believe that. I can believe that perhaps he is in charge of the Holy Ghost. Work with me here.
Assigning spirits.
Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers, and that maybe they assign spirits to you and they report back, and if there's a problem, he comes in.
He's like the 4-star general overseeing all the battalions.
Exactly, and everyone's assigned their Holy Ghost spokesperson.
That would be your main spirit guide. Like I said, mine is Rose. And when I asked Brandy a little bit about her, seeing if I could get some information, what I found is Rose apparently is one of my ancestors, someone that I'm related to. And the reason why she chose me and then I chose her is because our personalities are so much alike that it just seemed like a natural fit, apparently. So I'm still learning more about my spirit guides, but I do believe that everybody has a spirit guide. Whether or not you believe in them, they're there. I mean, you've got someone looking out for you, trying to make sure that you're making the right decisions.
And for the record, all the mediums said that 3 of my spirit guides are related to me, and the one that pops in and out, I believe, is not.
See, and I can get behind that the way you described it, Tim, because I have felt at times in my life that, maybe my relatives that have already passed on have been with me in certain moments. Whether or not that's my spirit guide or not, I really feel like there are times when I felt the presence of like my grandfather, because he was a music teacher. He played in big band, swing bands, and I was into music for a long time, and I felt like, when I'd be up on stage performing, I felt like he was right there with me. There have also been other times where I've been doing things where I felt like a buddy of mine that I knew in high school who passed away rock climbing, like he was there with me, or someone else. And whether or not that's my spirit guide or not, or just thinking about them at that particular time, I can kind of start to see the similarities there.
And then a lot of the Asian cultures and other cultures too, the idea of the ancestors helping, and that's pretty prevalent in a lot of cultures.
Yeah, like in Coco.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
Great movie.
And Pocahontas.
It's not uncommon
and
for
Avatar. Oh, we could go on and on.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for people's family members to look out for them and make sure that they're going down the right path.
Well, I'm saying, interestingly enough, I mean, there are thousands of accounts of people who have been visited by recently departed family members as spirits. I mean, there's books written on the subject. But for instance, I know that Deanna and I knew a family when we were younger, and it was a single mother. She had several kids, but she had a son my age and a son Deanne's age. And they'd gone out, not they, but the son Deanne's age had gone out with a friend bicycling and ended up getting hit by a car and killed. That particular young man, I'm just going to call him Bill for lack of better word, because I can't remember what his actual name is. Actually, I think I know what his actual name is, but I'm just...
Was it John Doe?
For a minute, probably.
It doesn't matter. Just call him Bill.
Anyway, about the time where he got killed, he appeared as a full-body spirit to one of his sisters and basically said, hey, I got killed. Everything's all right. I can't remember. Do you remember the exact message?
I don't, but I also remember... because he went on a bicycle ride with another kid that was my age, and we were in band together. We were getting ready to, be in the marching band, and we were all excited. And the friend that was with him just felt terrible. I mean, one, you see this happen, that's awful, but as you would as a 14-year-old kid, you kind of think maybe it's your fault. And what could you have done to stop it? And he actually appeared to him as well, and said, don't worry about it. It's fine, there was nothing you could have done. That's what was meant to be.
Right, so it's not uncommon for friends and relatives to visit. And, those are kind of some of the rare cases where people like physically see and hear that kind of thing. But how many visitations do any of us get on any given day by a friend or family member who's passed that we don't see?
That's slightly different than a spirit guide, though, because if you have a friend or family member that just kind of visits momentarily, they're not necessarily a spirit guide. A spirit guide is someone that's been assigned to you, and they're with you your whole life, for the most part.
Right, but what I guess kind of the point I'm getting to is that other spirits can visit us.
This is true.
And so with a spirit guide, it would be an assigned spirit.
Wait a second. What am I going to do with this? I don't know what to do with this.
And I will have to say, I don't like the Ouija boards, but that is an awfully cute, tiny little planchette.
It is a cute little Ouija board. I mean, it's...
Look at the planchette.
So let me describe this thing.
It's 20 years old. It was made in 1998.
I'm making
Just
fun
don't
of
lose the planchette.
making fun of
Okay,
Radio Run again.
Yeah, how do I get the planchette
The
out?
bottom there. No, yeah, there you go.
It's just a
You got to
little
be
drawer.
smarter than the plastic.
there we go.
There you go.
It's
Gotta
like
be
watching
smarter
try to,
than the Ouija board.
Oh, hey.
It's like trying to watch you. It's like watching
Hey,
you try
when
to
you
open
take
a
pictures,
condom
you got to take the picture of the little planchette on your finger.
So
With by a quarter.
As Elle starts freaking out in the background there.
No,
Yeah,
but you
there
can't.
are-
But
there
you
are
can't
pictures
tell
on
how
Facebook
big it
page.
is, though.
So I'm holding it in my hand.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm holding it in my hand
Well,
so
not,
you can see
but
that.
not the little planchette.
I'm just going to mirror closer than they
So
appear.
the planchette's probably about the size of my thumbnail.
It's about dime size, maybe a little bit smaller than a dime.
And it's about between a dime and maybe a nickel.
Yeah, because it's oval shaped. It's like normal planchette.
It's about as big a crumb. Going pretty good. We got something for you.
I like that comment on Facebook where Cleve's like, "Get rid of it, Lurch. Give it to someone you don't like." And
I was
Lurch
like,
is
"What's
like,
your
"What's your address again?"
Like that's what I need to mail to you.
All right, so we've got a Ouija board keychain. Do we burn it? Do we toss it? Do we give it to somebody we
Do
don't
we
like?
break it? Do we put it on eBay?
I'd go throw that thing in Utah Lake. I'd say
Utah
the
Lake?
I'd say the Great Salt Lake, but there's so much salt that damn thing would float and someone would find it.
Seriously, it's plastic. It would float.
Tie a rock around it and throw it in Utah Lake.
Yeah.
I actually probably just put it in my kitchen garbage if it were me, but because I don't know that. So we'll call that an episode. Have a great night, guys.
Peace out,
Good night.
butterflies.
All right.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.